Welcome to this video covering the plasma pistol updates. We're going to start off by briefly covering how exactly 343 have tuned the weapon, and then we're going to take a look at it. So the first way it's been tuned is that the base shot damage has been increased from 20 to 28. This is going to mean single shots are going to strip shields faster. Second change is 343 have increased charge shot angular velocity from 20 to 35 degrees per second. Basically, this means they've increased the speed at which the shot can change direction, meaning the charge shot can track opponents better. And finally, they've increased charge shot guided angular velocity at rest from 50 to 70 degrees per second. From rest means they've buffed the angle at which the charge bolt fires out the end of the plasma pistol, which means it's better at tracking at short range now as well. Alright, so let's take a look at the charge shot. Some of you might have seen my video on Twitter about this. What we can see in these examples and how I felt when using the gun is really the ability and the speed of the tracking just feels so much better than before the winter update. And the gun feels so much more viable now. It's a lot more difficult to use in this way against real Spartans strafing in and out of real cover, but what I hope these clips show you is an example of how powerful the tracking is now compared to before. You don't even need to have the reticle on the enemy player when you fire the charge bolt, as long as at some point in the charging process the reticle was hovering on that player. You see, if you charge it with the reticle near the player, it doesn't track towards them at all. The plasma pistol has to go red reticle at some point before it will track that Spartan. But at whatever point you fire the charge bolt, if you've had some red reticle at some point, the shot is always very forgiving. Also, just a reminder, you don't have to zoom in with the Halo Infinite plasma pistol to get red reticle like you did on Halo 5 with the plasma pistol. It tracks just as well from the hip as it does with ADS. Let's take a look at the single shots now, the P shots. Prior to the update, the plasma pistol took 7 shots to strip a Spartan of their shields, and since the update it is now only 5 shots. The buff to the plasma pistol single shot base damage has also reduced the amount of shots required before you can melee and kill an opponent. It used to be a 5-shot melee, now it is a 4-shot melee. So definitely more viable up close because of the buff. Let's now take a look at how the plasma pistol deals with an overshielded Spartan since the patch. Classic charge shot destruction against the overshield, the plasma pistol. We love that, now it's easier to hit those shots as well. And it used to be 16 single P shots to melt an overshield, and now it only takes 12 single P shots. So here's my conclusion on the plasma pistol update. Essentially, you're not going to want to walk past this gun anymore. It's much more of a melt machine than it used to be. It was never intended to be a gun that's used to clean up opposition. It's more of a gun to use against full shielded or overshielded opponents. I would say now, with the update to the tracking, it couples even better with jiggle peeking than before. You can peek an angle, fire a charge shot, and you're more likely to hit it by the time you've popped back into cover. Switch out to your precision weapon then, pop back round the corner for a quick cleanup. So it's a very powerful gun now, and I definitely recommend you try it out in weapon drills and pick it up in matches and see how you fare with it. Particularly against the overshield, it's well known as the ultimate counter to the overshield. But there are even stronger weapons out there in the sandbox that might surprise you. To find out information about how all the weapons in the sandbox fare against the overshield, click the video in the top right now. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please do like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.